Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Charity First Handicapping Challenge, the last one of this fantastic meet. It's been a trip, Chappie. Great to have you here once again, and we got two spectacular guests. We saved the best for last.
Yeah, you know what? It's been a great meet. We've got 11 races left to finish it with a bang. We've got two terrific handicappers. One I knew would be awake, and the other one was about 30-70, but we're glad he showed up.
That is fantastic. Congratulations to Iggy Puglisi, who won the championship yesterday, hitting the race. So congratulations to him and everybody who participated in this contest. Today, we got two guests. My guest is Nate Newby, and Nate Newby is the Senior Vice President, General Manager of Santa Anita. And one of the things I love about him is, like, you look at everybody else's bio in this business. They're like, he was a lawyer, he studied this, he studied that. And, you know, it was like all these professional titles. And Nate Newby's bio is great. He went to college, Colorado, vice president, and he's a great handicapper. That's actually in his bio. I love it. How do you not love that as part of your bio? Welcome to the show, Nate Newby.
I'm wondering who wrote my bio now. Thank you, George. Happy Father's Day, George, and to James Henry, who I'm sure is going to get an even more impressive introduction.
Well, it can't get better than yours, believe me.
Well, speaking of that, James Henry, let's go through a few things. First of all, he qualified for the NHC 14 years in a row. Wow. And he was the 2013 Horse Player World Series champion. And he's also a half to the world-renowned singing sensation Tone Deaf. James, welcome to the show.
Chappie, good to be here. What an introduction, boy. That resume is real short, but that's all right. I'm glad to be here. And Tone Deaf will not be making an appearance today, so you guys are lucky. We will not sing for you.
One thing I want to bring up is, how did you guys put me up against the guy who's sitting in second place in the NHC Tour points? You throw me into the wolves. That's it seems like a setup here. I just want to say for the record.
You know what? It's funny because Nate plays in like 2 tournaments a year and wins at least one of them every year. So he's downplaying his handicapping abilities, that's for sure.
Exactly. I take the shotgun approach. I play multiple tournaments every week. Nate comes in, he plays one, and he wins. I'm like, oh, boy.
That's great. All right, before we get into our picks today and see if we can raise money for a great charity of karma, I want to go over this incredible 15 months that we just came through. Nate Newby, I think we came through with shiny colors. It all started when Aiden came over here and really put a priority on safety. I think that I was so happy to be in all the social media really promoting that and safety first. We really turned things around, and now that we got the Horse Racing Safety and Integrity Act coming on, I mean, I think that's really important, and safety has been a priority, and it's really done well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Safety is our number one priority, both with horses and riders. But then for the last, 15 months or whatever it's been, it's a bit of a blur for all of our employees and our guests here with the pandemic. So safety is a common theme around here, but we're happy to be on moving out of things and better days ahead. Had a great crowd at Santa Anita this weekend, our first weekend with things opened up totally, basically, or at least much more than they were with the COVID guidelines. So looking forward to the future. Absolutely.
Yesterday it was like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, something like that. I felt like I clicked my heels 3 times and said, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. And I opened my eyes and it was Santa Anita, just like it was before. The infield was filled. The stands were filled. People were walking in. Oh, my goodness. It was such a sensational feeling yesterday.
Yeah, it was a fun day. A lot of energy in the building. James, what did you think of yesterday?
Oh, I loved it, Nate. It was nice to walk in and not have a security guard run up to me and say, sir, we have to have your mask on. Yesterday, they said, come on in, let's have a good time. And it was a lot of fun. Warren G was playing in the infield. I didn't quite make it out there. I was too busy handicapping, but I hear it was a good time out there.
I wanted to see you on stage.
Well, Tone Deaf, they wanted us to open for Warren G, but they vetoed it at the last second. So
yeah, James was handicapping, and I had some tours to give, so Tone Deaf had to postpone our gig, but we might play tonight at the Blind Donkey. Speaking of blur and safety, James, I'm glad you made it home safely over to the hotel, and you're back today for the tournament.
I'm looking forward to it, Chappie. I actually did a little bit of work last night, stayed home, didn't go out and drink 18 Bud Lights with some buddies of ours. I stayed home instead, and I'm ready to go. I mean, I got strong competition here with Nate, though. He's a good handicapper. So.
Right.
That sounds good. You know, this a lot of things happened in this pandemic. One of the coolest things was that little bubble where the jockeys had to live it in at the track, and I think it set a precedent for other sports around the country. What was the genesis of that, Nate?
Well, it's the LA County Health Department is a tough health department, although I'll give them credit. They're charged to protect 10 million people in LA County, so not an easy job. But when we were trying to get reopened early into the pandemic, they basically said, you know, with the other sports being shut down, if we want to race, we have to keep our athletes, so the jockeys, in a bubble on living at the track. And they probably said it thinking that that would be the end of it, and we would just stay closed until things had opened up. But we got creative and figured out a way to do it. And Aiden and I lived with the jockeys, and we tested into the bubble and stayed at the track, and were able to race. You know, of course didn't have any fans here, but able to at least put on the show that people could watch it and bet on at home.
That seems like it would be fun. Did you have a good time living on with the jockeys? I would think that was fun.
We had a great time. I mean, obviously all of us work with the jockeys, but you get to know somebody a lot better when you're with them 24/7, living with them. So we really bonded, and we definitely understood, you know, kind of where they're coming from, and just to see how dedicated they are up close to, you know, up every morning, then the working out before the races start, riding 9 or 10 races. They're amazing athletes and people, and we had a good time, and they were, you know, they asked a lot of questions about, you know, track management and kind of what some of the goals that we have. And so I think it was really good for us both to see each other's perspectives, and then just, you know, we became good friends. So it's something I'll never forget. Absolutely.
James, you know what? I mean, obviously terrible with the pandemic, but it seems that horse racing really had a resurgence. A lot more fans that were turned on to our sport during the COVID pandemic, and I think that horse racing is more popular than ever. How do you see it?
Absolutely. I was just going to say, I was going to follow up with Nate's story there, that, you know, during the pandemic, it was an escape for us to be able to watch it on TV. And even though we weren't there in person, you know, we could Zoom call our friends, handicap together, throw a bet in, you know, and even though we're all isolated at home, it gave us a sense of normalcy, at least, you know, for that little bit of time that they were racing during the day. So I can tell Nate that all the players, we do appreciate all the efforts they did make to put on a good show for us.
Nice.
This weekend, man, we closed the meet with a bang, Nate. 11 races on Friday, 11 yesterday, some spectacular racing. Today, 11 races, mandatory payout that we want to encourage everybody to wager, especially via Express Bet or First Bet, because you're going to get $10. You got to, you got to register, I think, on Express Bet, but you're going to get a $10 free play for that mandatory payout. There's a lot of dead money in there, big fields. It should pay really well today, Nate.
Yeah, no, racing office and all the trainers did a great job just entering up. You know, couldn't have finished stronger with these last 3 days with 3 just really good 11 race cards. And with the mandatory payout today, there's going to be a ton of excitement. It's a good way to go out and close the meet out on a strong note.
A lot of excitement for, I think, our upcoming meet too. I think is it October 1st? Is that where we're starting?
Yeah, autumn meet starts October 1, and that first weekend is going to be huge with all the Breeders' Cup Challenge winning your end races. I think with the Breeders' Cup being at Del Mar, California is going to be a very popular place to prep. So, you know, the first couple days of the autumn meet, we're going to start off with a bang.
Well, the future looks bright for horse racing, but I'm sorry, James, the future does not look bright for you today because Nate Newby's taking you down. That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling it. Chappie.
I don't know, James. You know, he might be hungover, but he's still he's used to that, and he's a hell of a handicapper. So we say, bring it on. Let's get the ball rolling here.
All right, let's get the ball rolling. Nate Newby, you got $100 to win. Where are you going and why?
I'm going to go to race 9. The Wilshire Stakes came up to be a really good field. there's an extremely consistent Calbred filly in there. Warren, number 5, Warren Showtime. She shows up every time. We know she's going to be finishing late. There's a lot of pace in the race. 5-2 on the morning line. I think the money's going to get spread out, so I think you'll get, every bit of that. And for $100, I'll put my money on a horse I know is consistent and will be finishing. And if she doesn't win, I think she'll run second. So I'm going to take a shot at her with a win bet there.
Excellent bet, I think, in that race. Last time, Legs Galore got the better of Warren Showtime, but it was lone speed. Nobody was there to bother Legs Galore. But this time, you got the inside runner, quiet secretary. There's a lot of speed in that race, and I think it's going to set up perfectly for Warren Showtime, and is going to have to outkick Stella Star, because that was also got a late kick as well. But I love Warren Showtime and Craig Lewis. Always easy to root for Craig Lewis. We're going to have $100. That's a winner. So now you guys are playing catch up. Go ahead, Chappie.
All right, James. Obviously, he's going chalky already. And before we get into your pick, James, I know that you have what you call the pattern plays. And the way you play kind of separates you from others because there's so many good handicappers out there. And you've hit things where, let's say, one time you took down the entire pool at Turf Paradise. Tell us about your wagering strategies and how you go about it.
Okay, so you're right, Chappie. It was December 31st, 2019, and it was the last wagering opportunity of the year. And Turf Paradise was where the pick 4 was about to start. So I logged in, got my racing form, took a look, and there were a couple of patterns in there. Now, patterns is a system that I developed about 10 years ago. And what it does, see, I got guys like Nate Newby that I have to compete against on a weekly basis. And these guys go through race replays, clocker reports. They got all the angles and the biases in the track, like Duke Matisse and his brother Paul. And I said, well, I can't compete with these guys. They put too much work in. So I had to find an easy way out. So I just went back and noticed a couple things in the form. Why did this long shot win? So that's kind of what I go with. And I just, key them up, and then I try to spread around them. And if they win, great. If they don't, it's a losing ticket. But at least I'm taking a shot at the big money.
And often you're known to single a 20, 30 to 1 shot in those sequences, correct?
Absolutely. If you single a 20 or 30 to 1 in a sequence and you happen to make there, whether he's in the second leg or the last leg, odds are you're going to turn him into maybe a 200, 300 to 1, even though he's 20 to 1 on the board. So I need that because I don't hit at a high rate, but when I hit, it's lucrative.
And on a side note, pp.com is patent pending, George. What's your $100 win bet? Why, James Henry?
Okay, this happens to be a pattern play. Race 5, Titrate, Titrate. I believe it's the 2-horse. I like the speed. I think yesterday the turf course looked like it was playing favorably to speed horses. Fresh gelding for Pipey, stretching back out, and that's where I'm going to put my $100 to win.
All right, so race 5 of the mile with Flavian Pratt on. We're not going big price here, but it's all about winning and bragging rights today. Back to you, Georgie.
All right, in that race, the 2 also eligible to scratch. The 13 and the 14 are out of race number 5. All right, we got $100 to work with an exacta. You can go Dave Weaver, ice cold, or a box, or a part wheel. Where are you going, Nate?
First of all, it makes me nervous that James Henry, aka Turf Master, is going to a turf route in race 5. So I'm worried that I might be in a hole when it gets to my races. But I'm going to do a strategy that I came up with before I knew that James was going to be ahead of me. Probably I'm going to do a $50 exacta part wheel in race 9. Also, Warren Showtime's a good finisher, but sometimes she doesn't always quite get there. So I'm going to pick 2 horses that are a little bit of prices. I'm not going to use the favorite Legs Galore on top at all, just because she's a really nice filly. But there's more speed in the race. She got a fairly easy lead last time, or an easier lead than she'll probably get today. So I'm going to go the 7 and the 8, Stella Star, and Baltus's horse, the 8. I'm probably not pronouncing this right.
Academia's Girl.
Thank you, Jeff. And Baltus's horse is 12 to 1. So take 2 little bit better prices over the 5 and a $50 exacta wheel. If Warren Showtime runs first or second, as long as it's one of those 2 horses that beats her, I'll be in good shape and at least have a bankroll going.
When you do your pick 6, and this is part of the pick 6 sequence, is that a runner Warren Showtime that you would consider singling, or do you think you need to go deeper in that race?
No, I think you got to look for value, and I think Warren Showtime, even though she's 5-2, Legs Galore is going to take money. With Flavian on Stella Star, the 7, that horse is going to take money. So you got to be a little bit contrarian in a race that people may go 3, 4, 5 deep. Maybe if you go with Warren Showtime, she'll be finishing. Hope she gets up, and maybe you protect a little bit with Exactas or something else.
Sounds good. All right, we got a couple of eggs in the basket there in race number 9. Chappie?
James, I just had someone send some coffee over to your room. We know you're a little bit tired, but what about your Exacta? Where are you going and why?
Chappie, I am going to race 3. I'm going to do a $50 Exacta box, 1-6. The trainer, Leonard Powell, I absolutely love on the turf. But moreover, the horses that I'm picking have already gone a longer distance of ground on the turf. And I tend to give more credit, if not, you want to call it extra credit, to horses that have done that. And the 1 is 5-2. I understand that. It's not too exciting. But the 6 horse is pretty talented. You got 8-1 morning line with a new face, new jock out here, Trevor McCarthy. And I just think that this race will favor these 2 horses in terms of the way they finish at longer distances. So I'm going to take those 2 in an Exacta box.
All right, Georgie. So he's actually going bookends with both Leonard Powell's in the Exacta box race 3, and that should be a nice price if he hits the Exacta. Leonard Powell had a very good runner the other day, ran second, but flew home after a slow start, lost to the Baffert runner. I can't think of the name now, but very good on the turf, Leonard Powell.
Yeah, it's an excellent horse that when you're referring to, he broke his maiden at Turf Paradise. Then, and a lot of people discounted him, including myself, when he came here and ran for a 100,000 claimer and destroyed that field. I think he got a little unlucky the other day. I don't think the pace was exactly what the horse needed. Maybe the trip was a little iffy, let's put it that way. And I think that you got to watch that horse for next time. I wish we knew the name. I can't remember it either. It's a good horse.
Georgie?
Yeah, it looks like Betty South Street is a little upset. He was like, I came here to learn about the pattern, and I got no response yet about the pattern.
That would take a lot longer than a half hour, George.
That's a big show.
We're going to have to have a whole new show during the summer for that. Everybody.com show.
All right, we got a daily double. We got $100 to work with. Nate, where are you going with your daily double?
Well, I guess I'm either going to have a good day or it's all going to go wrong in one race probably. But I'm going to start with Warren Showtime for all the reasons we've talked about in the 9th race with a double. And I'm going to use 2 horses in the 10th with a $50 double. I'm not going to use the favorite, number 2, who could win, just trying to find some value. But Simon Callahan's got a first-time starter, Sea Dreamer, the 3, with Flavian Prot on it. The workout guys say the horse can run, and if Flavian's showing up, I'm sure that's true. And then the horse that I like a little bit, probably even more, would be Keith DeSormo, Zedco Mama, with Kent DeSormo riding. So that horse ran like 2 weeks ago. DeSormo's horses usually improve. Watch the replay on that one. It just looked like a really nice looking, but it's a 4-year-old filly that will improve second time out. And she ran well first time. So we're going to go with that and see if we can hit a $50 double.
All right. We got $50 double of 5. We talked about Warren Showtime and 2 really logical horses, Sea Dreamer, first time starter. That Chappie, you said you saw on XBTV for free, xbtv.com. You saw that workout. It's really an invaluable tool, xbtv.com, and checking out the workout. You saw the workout for Sea Dreamer. How did it look?
Yeah, I'm no clocker, George, but I pretend to be one sometimes, and I did watch the workout of Sea Dreamer on June 11th. Very, very talented, relaxed nicely. It has a lot of talent, so I expect that horse to run well and probably will get bet for Flavian Pratt, but that's probably my top pick in there, just based off the workout.
Real quick before we go on. In that race, there's 4 scratches. So especially for you guys playing the pick 6, in this race, the 1 is scratch, the 6 Shell Shock, which I thought had a shot, number 7 with Open Eyes, and number 9 High Con. So 1, 6, 7, and 9 are all scratched out of that 10th race. So it might shorten some tickets in the pick 6. All right, Chappie, your daily double.
All right, James, where we go with our double and why?
Well, Chappie, this is a pattern play dream because I have two patterns back to back. One in race 5 and the other one is in race 6. So in race 5, we're going to take the 2, and then the 2 is the pattern. The 12 is a horse that it's a 0 for 12 maiden, but I just think the horse is getting a little bit better, at least visually, it looks a little better. And so I'm going to take a shot on that, and we're going to key that horse with number 4, My Tigress, in race 6. And George, I know you mentioned the pick 6. I'm going to single that horse to start my pick 6.
My Tigress?
So, My Tigress, correct. So I'll either be in the parking lot after the 6th race leaving, or I'll be cracking open a cold beer because I should make it to the last race, and I'm going to spread until I get to the last.
All right. In that race, there is a scratch of number 2, Worldly Sermon, who certainly had a chance. Mike Pipey, who one of our favorite trainers here. So there is a scratch of the 2, who certainly had a chance. And it's a pretty wide open race. It's these are not world beaters in that race to kick off the pick 6. Before we get into the tiebreaker, Nate, do you have a certain strategy when attacking a pick 6? For instance, I know that Andy Serling, I heard him in New York saying, I never single. Never. You should never single. You got to go 2 by 3 by 4, which, hey, everybody's got their opinion, but I certainly don't agree with that. But what is your strategy when you're looking to take down a pick 6 on days like today? What's your approach to the pick 6?
Yeah, I would, with all respect to Andy, I would disagree with that as well. I think, you got to, and whether you single or not, you got to have an opinion. You can't just spread and use logical horses throughout 6 races. That ticket structure, won't in the long run do you well. So if you can find a single, preferably at a little bit of a price, although, if you are really confident a horse is going to win in single and can find value in other races, that strategy works too. But, most of the bets that I've cashed that have been decent, usually involve a single at a price, and then you get where you can spread and use horses that, get some value in other races. That's where you can get a payoff.
Hey, James, going a little bit different route. Let's talk about the tournament for like 2 seconds here, since you've had so much success in the past. I've only played in a handful of tournaments in such a different betting style. What's kind of your style? Do you look for 6, 7 to 1 and higher, or it depends on the type of tournament? What's your success based on tournament wise?
Sure. Well, the greatest thing about tournaments, Chappie, is you can throw out the favorite because it's really not going to beat you unless you're in a live tournament and you get to the end and the guy behind you is only $1 behind you. He might take the favorite, and if you think that the type of player he is, you might block with it. The unfortunate part about investing at the track, or I call it investing, some people call it gambling, is that the favorites are a necessary evil, right? You have to use some of them, not all of them. But when you play in tournaments, you don't use any of them. At least I don't. And I'm looking for horses that are at least 8 to 1 or higher, something that's going to shake up the leaderboard. And, some days you get lucky and you're top 5, and other days none of them run and I'm last. So I'd rather be first than 10th all the time. I want to be first or last.
And it seems like the other thing is you can't be afraid to whiff and be out, right? If you like a horse in the first race and it's 10 to 1, you go all in. If you're
Absolutely.
out after the first race, you're out, right?
Absolutely. Yep, you got it right on the dot. And the thing is, I say this, Quigley teases me all the time. Tom Quigley, the one who runs, what's the room upstairs? The high roller room. Eddie Logan. Yeah, the Logan room. I told him a bomb early is worth more than a bomb late. Right, so you want to fire early, and if you hit it, great. Now you have the rest of the tournament to try to strategize and get to the finish. But definitely you want to fire early and shake up the leaderboard.
Like it, Georgie.
All right, let's go for the tiebreaker. We got to bring out the Wheel of Doom that we got here, and tiebreaker is going to be the 11th race. I'm sorry, the 11th race. No scratches, no changes in that. So, but before we get to the Wheel of Doom, once again, I want to remind everybody that we are trying to raise money for a charity called Karma. If any one of our handicappers turns their $300 of mythical money into over 1,000, we're going to give an additional $500 to that great charity. I know that Sterling, your wife, she's worked with Karma. Is that right, Nate? Is she still working with Karma?
Yeah, no, she's definitely very involved in aftercare, and Karma's such a good partner in California. My wife grew up riding horses her whole life. I brought her into the racing world. So actually, when we met in college, we got set up, and I had an off-track thoroughbred that I was riding just for fun, teaching to jump. And honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I'd ridden before, but I had no idea about jumping. So I would just see what happens and point him at something. And she, when I met her, she said, "Okay, let me help you there." So she was a very talented equestrian and Grand Prix rider. So that's how we met, and we've taken a lot of off-track thoroughbreds, both ones that we bred, and then also horses of friends, and taken them, retrained them, and made sure they had a good home. And I think the best thing you can do for a thoroughbreds are so good with really wanting a job, and are so versatile. So the best thing that you can do to ensure that they have a good long-term future and live a happy, healthy life is to train them to do something else where they're valuable and they're always going to be useful. So that's what we've tried to do, and she's great at that. And it's also a lot of fun.
And I know you guys love animals. You've owned horses, dogs, cats. The Denver Broncos are your favorite team. I'm thinking of buying you fish so your house could be an official zoo. It's great for tax purposes, and this way we can designate your house as a zoo. So it's going to be great.
It's a good idea. My house definitely feels like a zoo sometimes, most of the time.
George, if we misplaced the Wheel of Doom, what's going on here?
Let me go get Oh, there it is. All right, here we go. And spin that wheel. Let's see who's going to get first pick in the tiebreaker. And all right, it looks like Nate Newby, you get first pick.
All right. Well, I'm going to totally not use the advantage of a first pick, but I want to give out a horse we're going in race 11, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Give out a horse that I'm going to use on my pick 6, where he's 20-1 Mike Pipey. Number 5, Bella Chica. That she's a 5-year-old mare. She was finishing strong in her last race and got into some trouble coming down the lane. So it's a 20-1. There's probably a much better strategy there, but I think there's very little chance that we'll tie anyway. So I'm going to go with the 20-1.
I love it. He's coming after you that's his own pattern play right there. 20-1, James. What are you doing with your tiebreaker horse? Which were you going after?
Yeah, I looked at this race extensively last night. I don't think there's a ton of pace in the race. And I'm going to take a shot on a horse that I think is going to make the lead, number 10, Dee's Lovely Sophia with Jessica Pfeiffer up. I think, I don't know, I think this horse gets a good pace scenario today and holds on for the win.
All right, so Jazzmaster Flash going with Jessica Pfeiffer in the 10. And there you have it, Georgie.
That is fantastic. Hey, if you're looking at this show and you're deciding should I come out to the track or not, please come out. We're gonna have a great time. You can take home one of these. Look, I don't know if you can see it, but it says there it is. This dad picks winners right there. All right, so you're gonna take one of those home with you, and you're gonna have a great time. The future, Nate, I just feel the future looks so bright for horse racing. What do you, Chris Merce doing such a great job with the Sunshine Bonus, the Ship and Win, and with Del Mar having the Breeders' Cup. I think we're going to have such a great meet in the autumn. The future looks bright, right?
Absolutely, yeah. They're looking forward to the autumn, and I 100% agree with you. California racing's on the right track. We're making improvements. I think next year with possibly sports wagering coming in and things like that, we get some purse subsidies, and we can recruit horses even better with bigger purses. So, and I think we're going to have a purse increase for next year's winter spring meet as well. Purse account's in good shape with all the support. Thanks to horse players who really supported us this season. James Henry and all horse players with you. We appreciate it. Thank you guys. You make this business, and we'll try and put on a good show today for you, and then looking forward to autumn meet and better days ahead.
Yeah, it's one of the great things of, Nate is a horse player. So, you have to have that, he's like the hair club for men guy. I'm not just the owner, I'm a client as well. So me and Chappie, we need that. But anyway, it's been a great show. We are actually going to continue, Chappie. Every week we're going to have some sort of a handicapping show just like this. We're going to have a trainer or a jockey or a handicapper once a week during the off meet, just to kind of keep things fresh, let you know what's going on. A lot of stuff going on. 626 market. I think we got a fair coming in. We got a lot of exciting stuff in the off meet as well. But certainly we're going to try to help you pick winners and have a great time. Thank you so much, both of you. James, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, guys.
Gentlemen, appreciate it. James, good luck today.
All right, everybody, have a great day.
Play
the Pick Six. Play the Pick Six.
Happy Father's Day to all.